Alrighty, brother man, we are back with more Guildrun, and today, instead of playing the game, I'm gonna be making a Red Rift tier list. To preface this, I want to show you what my credentials are if you are new to this channel. As you can see, I am right now sitting around top 100 global with a 10 win streak. However, I do think that I'm gonna break this personal best very soon, probably tomorrow or the day after, unless I end up being a dumbass again, because today I had 5 back-to-back win streaks, or 3 back-to-back 5 Red Rift win streaks, and I always lost because I was just a dumbass. It is what it is. Hopefully that will not happen in the next days, and I will be able to break this record. Now, I also want to preface some more things for this tier list. Keep in mind, this game, I always say this game is very well designed. A lot of people think that haven't played the game much yet. They think that this game is actually very rigid in its meta. For example, I end up buying Tank Kai very often, and we can put a little spoiler here. Tank Kai, even after the nerfs, is gonna be in the S tier. Speaking of nerfs, there was a patch 2 days ago, and I have been playing a lot on the new patch, so this will be specifically a new patch tier list. I am pretty confident after these deep win streaks today. Well, I don't even know if you can call 5 deep anymore. It is what it is. People are getting 20, 30 win streaks left and right nowadays. But after these win streaks today, I'm pretty confident that I can make a very decent tier list here. Again, everyone has their own play style. I know that some of these picks that I will put in certain tiers will differ at least a lot from my Twitch chat, because, for example, this guy, I have a very high opinion of this guy, and a lot of people in my Twitch chat think he sucks, even though just today they watched me use him like 5 times and he just solo carried the entire run like 5 times. Spoiler alert, you can put damage items on him. I know, it's a Vanguard, it's a tank, but you can put damage items on him. He will go 1v9. Anyway, every time I rank a character, I will also talk about them. I will be doing this thing here, and we will go to the game and go to the compendium, and I will be talking about the characters, so you also understand what makes them broken, so you can also use these things in your own game easily. So I think this will be a very nice video for beginners and even experts to learn a lot from, and hopefully you guys can improve your win streaks or get your first Red Rift win if you're struggling with that. Again, after the nerfs, it's even harder. It is still quite hard, but if you use some of these things, I think you will do very well in your runs as well. So why don't we just begin by just talking about Kai? I already put him in the S tier. Now, another spoiler, there is a new hero after the Kai nerfs that is above Kai, in my opinion. Okay? I think in a lot of people's opinion, especially if they watched my stream today or yesterday, they will think the same thing. Now, again, for Kai, it's not a secret. I think most people know now that the tank Kai, the bold here, B tier upgrade, is just extremely broken. Even after the nerfs, it used to get 45 defense, and it used to scale with 500% of armor in lasting shields, or defense in lasting shields. Now it is 400% and only 30 defense. That is a good nerf, a seizable nerf, a good start to nerf this guy, but he is still extremely overpowered in my opinion. I value these units a lot by what they can do to make me win the run. And one of the important things for me in a run is Act 1. Act 1 for a lot of characters can be very difficult. For example, Pollen is an extremely strong late game character if you get the items for her, if you get enough mana regen, if you get a good team that can make use of her shielding. However, in Act 1, she will not do a lot, right? And this guy will do everything in Act 1. He will tank and he will burst them. And for the challenge fight in Act 1, he can do stuff like, oh, the enemies are gonna get stronger after they stall 15 seconds. Well, they're already dead by that point, because he just one-shots them with his big AoE, with the tank upgrade. Then they can do stuff like, the Hydra gives them healing per second, and they can even heal more percentage health every second. Again, he bursts. He doesn't do DPS, he bursts. So he counters all of those things. So he is extremely valuable for the Act 2 challenge and for the boss as well, because the demon, for most of people, me included, is a lot easier than the Hydra. For the Hydra, you need burst. For the demon, you need scaling damage. And there's a lot of people that can do scaling damage, like she can apply a lot of frost, which in a way scales your damage because it lowers the demon's defense. This girl stacks up her ult and applies more and more and more on-hit damage and frost throughout the fight. This guy with his stall stuff gets damage with his debuffs. So there's a lot of ways to beat the demon, but there's not a lot of burst for the Hydra, and this guy tanks it and bursts it. So tank Kai still extremely good. Then we have this Intrepid. I don't think I have ever taken this, and I don't think I ever will. And this one is extremely strong too if you are already building around a very strong shielding unit like the Pollen, like maybe a Mystic Aria, like maybe Gustav tank with, if you get an early A-tier Gustav tank. I had the most broken run I had today was Gustav tank. I found him early A-tier, and this guy with this, and he was doing infinite damage. Then there's a relic that you can get. Warriors gain lasting shields when they deal damage. 10% of their damage into lasting shields. Completely breaks. This is completely broken. You just need that, and the B-tier Kai was doing 100k damage every single fight. So Kai, these two specs, this more rare, but when it hits crazy, and this one is completely broken. I think everyone knows by now, so let's go back to the tier list. This is gonna take a long time. I'm gonna try to speedrun some of these, because not all of them are gonna require large explanations like I just did for Kai, the most obvious one. Whoops. Anyway, who is the character that's gonna be above Kai? You know what? We'll do that later. Let's go for an easy D tier. I don't think I'll put a lot of characters into D tier, but there is one easy D tier. Okay? Now, again, I said in this game, every character can be extremely strong, can look extremely strong. And Fiona is the same thing. Fiona is the same way. Fiona can be completely broken. One of my best runs this entire week, probably the best run, was Fiona. Was off the back of the Fiona. And I'll tell you why. And I'll also explain why I'm still putting her in the D tier. So let's get back to the game and click on Fiona here. Every 5 casts, create a random item and gain shards. Every 5 casts, create a random item. At the B tier, these are common items. At A tier, these are rare items. And at S tier, these are epic items. Yes, she's printing an item worth 25 shards every 5 casts. And on S tier, you can give her 5 mana regen items. So you can print like 2 of these items every single round. That is extremely broken, okay? However, you gotta get her to S tier. But that's not gonna happen often. But you best believe, if I see an S tier Fiona in the shop, and I see her with this, I will probably sell a lot of things just to get her. Because she does shield a lot. A lot of people don't know this, and I didn't either. Apply shields to the lowest current max HP heroes. The amount of heroes she shields scales with her mana regen. And when she shields like 12 heroes, well, she's just gonna apply multiple shields to all your heroes. That is a lot of shielding. She's actually the best shielding unit in the game. But that's all she does. She only applies shielding. You know, like this girl with her Mystic spec, she applies a lot of debuffs on the enemies. Grace is just a freaking cuck. She's just there to watch. She's just sitting in her cuck chair, but she's really good at doing that. She's really good in her cuck chair. So this is kind of irrelevant. But Pollen obviously applies a bunch of debuffs and stuff, right? And shields a lot with her double shielding, and then also heals. So Fiona just all across the board, definitely the worst mystic in the game. But like I said, even she can pop off. And by the way, this Tycoon thing, every 5 casts gain a Tycoon stack, this looks like it's kind of bad, but it can easily, if you get her early, B tier with this, and you have a mana regen item, I think it's worth playing her. If you have an early tank Kai, he's gonna solve the early game anyway for you, right? So you're winning anyway, so you can afford to play a mediocre unit that might scale up. And if you think you have enough money for the run, you can keep her on the bench, and she's gonna give your team like 600 bonus health. 600 bonus HP, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's relics that say your front line gets 400 HP, your tanks get 200 HP, stuff like that. So this can be a very seizable thing. And then this can just be like a tank spec. It's okay. It's fine. It's like I said, she's probably going to get buffed. Again, we got to put someone in the D tier, in my opinion. And I think she is the one that deserves this. Off to the next one. Now, who is a nice little B tier character? You know what? Let's get another mediocre character. C tier. C tier from Hoyoung. I will be, when I put another guy in S tier, when I put another guy in C tier, I will order them of what I think who is the best. So leftmost will be the best in C tier, etc. But for now, Hoyoung C tier. Let's get back to the game here. And Hoyoung, why am I putting him in the C tier? A lot of people like Hoyoung. A lot of people freaking hate him. I am in the middle about it. I think he's fine. If you get an early Hoyoung, you take the Mystic thing, in my opinion. I saw One Punch Man do the same thing. He is, in the alpha test, the rank 1 Red Rift win streak player. And I saw him do the same thing. And if Hoyoung gets a couple kills, it really doesn't need a lot. He's gonna quickly gain, like 5 kills is already 10 mana regen for all your Mystics and Assassins. By the way, mana regen for this handsome gentleman here, he loves it. Because every time he ults, he gets Omnivamp for the rest of the fight. So he scales throughout the fight, dealing more and more damage. So he loves mana regen. So this can be a good backup unit. So what you do is you just have him early game, you stack him up, and then if he has like, bro, maybe he pops off, he has like 16 mana regen, 8 kills, that's reasonable. That's definitely reasonable for the first act. And then you have him on your backup, and he just makes your freaking Mystics extremely strong, and he sets up an extremely strong Act 2. Now, of course, you have to get him B tier early, and even on B tier early, he's not going to be that strong. He can also print a lot of shards if you just find him B tier or even A tier with this spec already pre-built in the shop. This can farm a ton of shards if you have some good items for him, which, by the way, he's a hybrid unit because he scales with attack attack and magic the same, 250%, 250%. So yeah, can be very strong. A recent buff to the little item that you gain on hit, you gain 2 magic, and on ultimate cast, you gain 30 attack, I think. And that item really good on him, especially with the Mystic spec, because it gives him a lot of, he just casts often, gets a lot of stats, and boom, goes crazy. Even this warrior thing is not bad. Like, if you find him early, A tier, or even for Act 2, you need a damage dealer, and you find him A tier, he's gonna kill these freaking little bitch-ass mushroom archers instantly. He's gonna laser them down, which is pretty nice. It's not bad. But overall, there is just better damage dealers. There is a lot of people that do his job just better. You can also just get mana, regen items. And I mean, this probably has the highest upside. People think this has the highest upside. It's a good money printer, but this has crazy. Like, if you can get 10 kills on him, that's 20 mana regen on Pollen, that's 20 mana regen on Gustav. You just play these two together, and you just freaking stall the fight, and no one kills you anymore. And then it doesn't matter what you have as a front line. You're just good to go, right? You're just good to go. Still very RNG reliant, need to get the early. And there's just better units that if you get them early, like if you get a Ratna with Assassin early, right? There's better stacking units because the Ratna with Assassin early can just take over the game and carry for you. Same with a Logan, right? With his stacking stuff. Same with Dragomir, right? Can print money and stack. So, yeah, I think Hoyoung deserved C tier over here, guys. Still not a bad unit. Like I said, every unit is usable. Let's go for a nice A tier unit. I think the best or the second best early game tank in the entire game is, I think, Pimenta. Her HP per second, if you have her on C tier with no items, no mana items, I have to say, she is pretty much exactly gonna ult after 15 seconds, which is when her stall kicks in and she starts getting that HP per second. Now, if you go, I play a lot of Pimenta, so I think I can give you tons of tips on Pimenta, so let's go ahead and do that. I love Pimenta, like I said. I think she is the second best early game tank if we ignore everything else, right? Like if I just enter a new Red Rift run and I'm just looking for a tank and there's a Pimenta, I'm probably buying the Pimenta unless there's a Kai. And remember, Kai needs to turn into a tank. So the huge upside of Pimenta is she can right away give you Rift Seal stacks on the tank, which is super important, right? Like the first 3 Rift Seal stacks you get ideally should be on tanks. It's just so important, right? Because Act 2, you cannot put... you probably can play 2 tanks. You need at least 1 damage dealer. You need 1 tank and then probably a support would be nice. And you can't just play 2 tanks. You can't just play a useless tank with no items, which is the Rift Seal. He's just going to feed. You can't put the Rift Seal on your main tank. It's just going to die. Act 2 is brutal in terms of damage output. So, yeah. So that's a huge advantage of her over Kai. She's still worse, though. Now, she has very unique things, though. Like, you can take this one and stack up attack speed. Not just on Sal. Yes, Sal is getting double the attack speed, which is obviously nice, right? But you could also give attack speed to someone like Irini. Maybe you have an early B tier Irini in the shop with the Olympic, right? Now, it's not her best spec, right? But it's a good spec. It can definitely be very solid. And if you give her some extra attack speed, this damage scales with attack speed. So Pimenta can even scale her. She can scale a Funke. And spoiler, spoiler. I'm just gonna say spoiler. She can scale this a little bit, like to farm more money, right? To farm more shards with the passive. She can scale a Logan who's getting a frick ton of attack if he's popping off with B tier, right? If he's popping off on the kills. So definitely lots of options to stack stuff. Even an assassin. I had one run where I just had an early assassin Ratna, and then I just found her another, like an upgrade in the shop. I took this, I gave Ratna some attack speed, and boom, she just took over the game. I do think the best one, just for tanking, is gonna be this mage upgrade, because pepper spray expands in size and lasts a second longer. Expanding in size means it will hit more enemies, which means you will get more HP per second. And a longer duration, also more HP per second. And she gets so much HP per second that she can just tank everything. You just want to put her in a position where she has as many enemies around her as possible, so she can benefit from this a lot. And then the reason why she is might even be top of A tier. I don't know if anyone will beat her out on the A tier, I'm not gonna lie, because she has this as well. She can be a DPS. You can just take this, and if you have a relic that applies frost on the enemies at the start of fight, which if you play Red Rifts a lot, you probably realize that you should almost always have one of those. They are extremely overpowered. Frost is extremely overpowered as a debuff. I personally think they should nerf Frost a lot. 2 stacks of Frost result in -1 attack speed and -1 defense on the enemy. When you have like 400 Frost on the enemy, which she can do by herself if you give her some attack speed items, with just a little bit of Frost at the start, that means it is a -200 defense on the enemy. And if they drop into negative defense, they're taking additional damage. And that is just almost, in my opinion, almost mandatory to beat the dragon in Red Rift. Any of the dragons, especially the Frost Dragon, because if you're not applying more Frost than the dragon is applying on your team, then your team will just fall behind. They will just start attacking slower than the dragon, and they will just get obliterated. So I love Pimenta, amazing unit, amazing tank, one of the best tanks in the game. She's not the tankiest, and you know what? Let's go to the next one. That is a good one to put in the next slot here of this tier list. Let's talk about Rowan. I think Rowan also goes into A tier. I personally don't use Rowan that much. Because it's just... It just doesn't happen. I don't know, it just doesn't happen. I don't like buying a C tier Rowan, but I think I should more. Because today especially, I was doing it sometimes, and this Mother Trucker tanks like a Mother Trucker, let me tell you. So, let's look at Rowan here. Even his base form, this after stall 10, gain a bunch of HP per second. Which scales with his defenses very well as well, and his health. So he can be very tanky early game. And then he has multiple options that are good. I tend to gravitate towards this one. On stall trigger, permanently gain max HP and 4 defense. This makes him very versatile. You take this, he's gonna scale up. He has a stall himself. Maybe you have a Pimenta that also has a stall. Maybe you have Pollen that also has a bunch of stall, although your damage will be very low if you're playing Rowan and Pollen. But maybe you have a Nyx. That is amazing. 3 stall abilities. So this guy will pop off. And maybe you have an Aria with this stall upgrade. That is a really lethal combo, right? Aria with the Rowan. And then he can get so much max HP. And then in Act 2, if you end up finding an A tier tank, and remember, A tier tanks are always going to be better than B tier tanks, except for maybe Kai sometimes can be better as a B tier than some of the other tanks on A tier. But A tier tanks can hold 3 items, and that's just a huge advantage. 3 items greater than 2 items equals tankier. That's just how it goes, right? That's why I always say, S tier characters, all of the units on S tier can be broken. Yes, this guy is beyond broken on S tier, because this ability has a chance to create random items. Just like with Fiona, he's gonna print epic items, like 2 per turn on S tier. So when you see him S tier early, buy him. I sell everything to buy him, and usually it ends up winning me the run. But yeah, back to Rowan. Something interesting is this is actually pretty good, this one. Gain shields, then deal damage and stun enemies in front of Rowan. This is especially very, very powerful for the first Act 1 challenge, okay, or the Act 1 challenge. It is not as strong as the Kai AoE, but it kind of does a decent amount of damage. It's actually nice. And this gives you burst, which again beats those HP per second stuff of the Hydra, or the 3% HP regen every second that one of the Act 1 challenges has as its debuff, or as its buff to the enemies. So this is pretty nice. It's also a stun, which is also fine. It's fine. It's nothing crazy though. Like stuns, you think of stuns being broken in TFT or in other auto battlers, and then you think they're broken here, but they're kind of just not that broken here. I don't know, they're kind of just not that broken. They're good though, they're good, but they're not giga broken, because everyone's playing on triple speed, right? We're all playing on triple speed, so 4 seconds is actually 1.3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, still decent though. And then this one I never tried, but I think this could be just like the Kai thing, where with the shield scaling, if you can give a bunch of shields to this guy, like if I am running an early Mystic this guy, and I have like 20 mana regen on him, and then I get a Rowan B tier, I might actually try going for this. I think this can do a lot of damage, because you just have a Pollen and a Gustav shielding him, and he's just gonna nuke with every auto attack. So yeah, Rowan, extremely good unit. One of the best tanks in the game for sure, and very versatile, because you take this and then you move him to the backup position, and he gives these stats to both tanks and vanguards, and that's the juicy thing, because Rip has a very strong backup ability as well, but he only gives it to vanguards. So what if you find an A tier tank in the shop when you're playing this guy on B tier all game, well, you probably have to stick with him because it's not going to apply to tanks. All right, not bad. We're making progress. Let's keep going here. Let's go with a nice B tier character. Who would I put in the B tier? Who would I put in a nice B tier position? I think B tier is going to be... Yeah, I think she's a B tier. Now, Reyna, I've been using more and more lately, but she is very much a character that you just use flexibly. I never see myself building around Reyna. I almost never just buy a C tier Reyna in anticipation to get an upgraded Reyna, because I think she's broken or whatever. Like with Kai, you do that all the time. With some other characters, you do that all the time. But with Reyna, I never do that. I never just buy a C tier Reyna. But if I find a Reyna in the shop on B tier early in Act 1, I will probably buy her. No matter which spec she is, except for this one. This one I will only buy if I'm actually playing a rush build. So if I'm playing this guy and Nyx, you know, classic rush stuff, then if she just shows up in, like, let's say Act 2 when I already spend a lot of rush and she just shows up as an A tier, amazing. I buy her, I put 3 items on her, and she carries the rest of the run. She's that insane. This is so much attack. You can easily have like 100 rush triggers at that point, so that's just 200 bonus attack. Absolutely insane. And also the crit and the omnivamp, right? Per rush trigger this game. Absolutely insane. She goes crazy. This is a solid tank. Gain the Vanguard class and 300 max HP. 300 max HP, amazing. Triple threat applies 33% more shields, so her ult is going to shield more. And again, gain 1 attack per 10 shields. This is similar to Kai. You can play her with some other shielding units, and she is actually going to hit like a truck with this. Very, very powerful. Do not underestimate this. But again, something you just kind of happen to find. I don't think it's worth playing around this, because if you're just playing a C tier Reyna into the Act 2 challenge, she's not going to go crazy. If you're just playing like a B tier Reyna, this thing here with Vanguard, without like a good A tier Pollen, going into Act 2, it's just kind of like, is it really going to work? Usually not, right? So it's not something you play around, but it's something you're happy finding. Now, there is one thing that is just solid by herself. Nothing required, no setup required. And that is the upgrade if you do find yourself with a C tier Reyna, just because usually you start off the game and in the first shop, usually most of the time, you want to buy 2 units, just so you have 3 units, because the starting bonus, or the little starter kit, whatever they call it, right after the first shop, that you get, can be gain extra shards per hero surviving, right? So you usually want to buy 2 heroes because it's just the highest tempo, right? You're likely to win the fight with 3 heroes, the next 2 fights pretty easily, unless you have really bad early game heroes like Pollen with no mana regen. But yeah, so if you buy a Reyna there, completely reasonable. Sometimes you have Pollen, Gustav, Reyna. You buy Reyna, for sure, right, in your first shop. And then if you then find an upgrade, this is extremely strong. This does so much damage. Every 3 auto attacks deal bonus damage and inflict a bunch of burn. And she gets attack speed as well. So this is extremely powerful, huge, very good tempo option. She is going to single-handedly stack like 100, 150 burn on the first boss as well. So this can be good against Demon because it's kind of like a scaling type of thing. She is applying more and more and more burn throughout the fight. So it's going to tick him down faster and faster because you want to tick him down when he reaches 50% health because he starts applying a lot of burn to your team. So this can be very solid. This is a very solid bruiser type DPS character in the early game, and she gets the duelist class. You can do something like this, right? Whenever a mage or duelist inflicts a debuff, they gain attack speed. That's not bad. And magic as well. And her magic is not that bad. 50% magic scaling is okay. It's not that bad. So there is some combinations with her. The more I play, the more I'm warming up to Reyna. I think she's a solid unit. I think B tier is appropriate though, because A tier is going to be quite stacked in this tier list. Now let's let the cat out of the bag. This guy is absolutely broken. I'm gonna put him at the top of this tier list. I think after the Kai nerf, he was already broken. He didn't get nerfed. He somehow dodged nerfs. He will definitely not dodge nerfs the next patch. Funke is the most broken unit in the game, in my opinion. I used to think that he's not good at killing bosses. He isn't as good as some other characters. But usually, most runs in Red Rift, you're gonna struggle more with the basic fights than the final boss. The dragon is kind of a pussy. You just apply some frost on them. You just hold a B tier freaking Aria on your bench, or even a B tier Karsu is gonna apply like 200 frost by herself, and then these guys just die, right? If you can tank them long enough until the frost is there, these guys usually die. But the freaking fights where people get hooked, there's the freaking lizards jumping into your backline, and you're only allowed to have 9 deaths on your hero roster throughout the entire run. Those pose usually a larger threat for most runs, and this guy completely skips all of that. He just kills all of these idiots. You just put him frontline. Remember, he shoots a fireball at everyone in Funke's range. And yes, it's not funky, it's Funke. It's the German word for spark. Now, is it still funnier to call him Funke? Absolutely. So anyway, blast a fireball at all enemies in Funke's range, dealing a bunch of damage and applying a ton of burn. Now, for him, there is multiple good options. The Inferno is the bad one. Gain 2 attack range at start of combat. After stall, inflict burn on all enemies in range. This is okay if you can somehow get a lot of magic on him, but it's not that crazy. It's better to just make him cast, and this 2 attack range is cool, but usually you can give him some Omnivamp, maybe like a little bit of tankiness, or put him next to your tank, so the tank still tanks the ranged characters. While he is in the front line, he has 4 attack range, he's gonna reach all the way into enemy backline, and he's still gonna shoot the mages and the little archers. So this one is good, this one is the best. The detonator is the best. On cast, all enemies in range take a certain amount of ticks of burn damage. So what he does is he first applies all of this burn that he's applying, let's say 200, and then at A tier it is 30 ticks of burn. So that is 30 times 200. That's 6k damage. That is a stupid amount of damage. And then the next time he ults, he already has a bunch of burn on them, and he applies some more burn, and then, you know, he scales throughout the fight. So he can beat the demon. He's good against the demon. He is good against the Hydra anyway, because he has burst. He has like good starting damage, right? Because he's a burst. He's like a nuke mage. He's good. Against the dragon, he's usually not that crazy, unless you get some stuff like whenever he casts, apply frost to all enemies in range, according to a certain percentage of his magic. Or if you have the frost, one of numerous frost artifact relics. There's so many relics for mages that apply a bunch of frost on the enemies, so he can become very good in a boss fight. And remember, with this detonator ability, he's gonna stack more and more burn on the dragon, and even against the dragon he can do really well. I had a lot of runs where he was really good even against the dragon. Obviously someone like Aria is usually better, but she's a lot worse in those standard fights, right? Especially a nerf to Aria. She used to be probably my most played character. She is falling off. She definitely fell off after the nerf. The nerf was quite severe, but I will talk about that when we get to her. So Funke, I want to also talk about his last thing here. This one, the Stoked. I said this is also good, and it is. Funke gains 1 mana whenever an enemy in his range takes burn damage. There's a lot of relics that put burn onto the enemies right away at the start of the fight. And this is gonna give you, is gonna start giving Funke mana right away. Now again, this just fits with his theme where he's good against many enemies, but not good against a single boss, because a single boss is only gonna give him mana, 1 mana per second, whereas multiple enemies, like 4 enemies surrounding him, are going to give him 4 mana per second, which is a lot better, right? So again, this is another ability that is just really good in these standard fights, but not very good against the boss. The detonator, amazing in standard fights, also definitely the best one, the best option. But if you get an A tier Funke and you don't really have anything to deal with Act 2, and he just comes pre-installed with this, still fine to pick up. If he comes pre-installed with this, still fine to pick up. It's just such a powerful unit. Definitely S tier, amazing. Let's go on to the next. Now let's go for some rage bait. Let's go for some rage bait, guys. This is a piece of garbage. Do I put her in C tier? Scheiße, I hate her, man. But some people really like her. I don't think she's that bad, but holy frick do I hate her. Let me first talk about her and then place her. Okay, maybe that will help me placing her, because I'm going to be comparing her to other tanks. So, a lot of noobs think she's the best thing ever. Trust me, I know, because I used to think she's the best thing ever back when I was losing all of my Red Rift runs. And I figured out why I was losing. I took this. When auto-attacked, inflict poison and gain HP per second. This HP per second is so broken in these little fights where there's 5 enemies, 3 archers shooting her, throwing toothpicks at her. It is so broken. She is the tankiest freaking mother trucker in those fights, okay? But then you put her up against the final boss, or against the Hydra, or against the demon, and she falls flat. So I think the only thing that's playable is this one. The one where she heals on hit. Oh, frick, I didn't show the game, sorry. I was talking about the Serpent's Kiss. That's where she's really broken. In hallway fights, I call them hallway fights because of Slay the Spire, but in just these standard fights, right, where there's multiple enemies, she just heals infinite. But in boss fights, she's extremely useless with this, because the boss is not gonna attack like 50 times per second. It's just gonna shoot the big fireballs, right, the dragon, and it's just gonna freaking kill her quite fast. So this is, in my opinion, the only one that I take to prepare for a boss if I want her to tank a boss. And honestly, it does a decent job, especially if you get something where her stall gets lowered. So she's very exposed. Between 10 and 20 seconds, she's extremely exposed. Now, I wish she was more exposed. I'm gonna be honest, guys. These freaking hips, I'm gonna be honest, but it is what it is, man. Unfortunately, she's not, and unfortunately, she's not that good, in my humble opinion. This healing is also not as good as some other characters. Now, there is one thing you can get on her, which is very unique for a tank. You can give her, at the start of combat, if this hero is in the front row, they gain 250% of crit defense. So if you get her A tier with this, she can actually be really freaking tanky. But again, it's kind of rare, and I feel like there's just a lot of good tanks in this game, and she is like a mediocre tank. It is what it is. I think I'm gonna put her probably in... Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this one because I deem it to be unplayable. Petrify all enemies targeting Zuri, dealing damage, inflicting poison per stone skin trigger, and stunning. Again, we already been through this. 4 seconds stun equals 1.3 seconds stun if you play on triple speed. And like, you were watching the fights, right? If you're playing on triple speed, you're watching the fights. Like, the stun is so short, and like it doesn't seem like it's impactful, right? It just doesn't seem like it's doing a lot. It's not stopping a lot of the enemy attacks. They still hit like a truck. It's just not worth. And then this inflicting poison. If this was gaining shield, gaining like 50 shield per stone skin trigger or something like that. Now we're talking, she would be insane. But it's not. It's just inflicting poison. Who cares? She's a tank. We don't want her to deal damage. We don't care about the damage she deals. So this is awful in my opinion. This can almost never be good. These two can be good depending on what you need from her. And yeah, I think there's just better tanks. I think I'm gonna put her... Is she worse than Reyna? Yes, but is she like C tier? Probably not. I might move her later, okay? She's like between C and B for me. I'll put her in B right now. Let's go for another rage bait, Gustav. I don't like Gustav. I think I'm gonna put him here. He can pop off. I think Reyna genuinely pops off more. Let's talk about Gustav. Let's talk about why I don't like him. A lot of people swear by Gustav. A lot of people think Gustav is freaking broken. He has the potential to be broken. But I think once you play some more and once you realize what is important for Red Rifts, it's consistency, right? You're trying to get a win streak and all of his stuff is not very consistent. So the best one is the Glacier, the tank Gustav. Gain 40 defense, -1 attack range, and Blizzard applies more shields and always targets Gustav. So it's gonna scale with defense. This is very nice. However, what do you want from Gustav? Do you want him to be your secondary tank? Well, that's okay. That's okay, yeah. I do that often. But then you need a damage dealer that deals a frick ton of damage. Because you have a tank, you have a secondary tank, and one damage dealer. You need a frick ton of damage. Or you need a Grace on your bench with this Radiant thing here, where Gustav is then giving your units attack and magic. But he's not even the best at doing that, because his Blizzard takes 5 seconds, and only every second he shields. Okay? So it's only 5 shields every 5 seconds. So 150 mana for 5 shields. But then let's take a look at this lady with the Mystic thing. Requiem Barrage shields heroes. This is Channel and Energy Beam for 2.5 seconds and each half second. So much cheaper mana and much faster application of the shields. So this is a way better unit to pair up with this Radiant Mystic thing. Pollen, same thing by the way. Create a flower field for 5 seconds each second. No, she actually does the same. She shields heroes just like Gustav. Yeah, nah. I'm telling you guys. She's barefoot. So you already know she's the queen. But she's like actually the queen in gameplay as well. I'm telling you. 2.5 seconds. She's just the fastest one at scaling with this Grace magic and attack backup thing. Which is a very powerful combination, right? Gustav can still do it, but it's not ideal, right? It's not ideal and you need a Grace on your backup. It's not easy to get that, right? You have to spend a lot of money for that as well. Now, this can be a solo tank. If you get him early and you make really good use of this, after stall 25 and 50, permanently gain 4 defense at the B tier. If you can always stall the fight until 50, he's gonna actually scale up. Like, he's gonna have a lot of defense, and then he's giga tanky, and he can take over the run, and that's really nice, right? That's a really nice Gustav. But that doesn't happen that often. You need to give him tank items, and you need to give him mana regen, because he needs to also repeatedly ult. He is never gonna be as tanky as just straight up a Rowan, or straight up a very stacked Glutton rip, or straight up tank Kai with freaking 1 McDonald's cheeseburger worth of items because he's broken. He's broken, is what I'm trying to say. Pimenta also with her HP per second. Like, he's never going to be as tanky as that. So he's always like either an off tank, or you have him pop off and then he's a actual good tank. But yeah, he applies Frost, which is big. Applying Frost is very nice. Scales with mana regen as well. You don't care about the damage, so magic is not important for him anymore, because he gets more from he applies more shields from his defense. Scales very well. So yeah, tank Gustav, very good, solid. Gotta get him early to stack this up. Then we have this one. On cast, gain 1 shard. On shards generated, gain 1 mana regen and 5 magic. This can be cool if you have just the support Gustav with a lot of mana regen, but you need a frick ton of mana regen, and every time he casts, he's going to generate a shard, and for that fight, he will gain 1 mana regen and 5 magic, which is going to improve his damage and his shield, because he's obviously not tank Gustav, right? Because you can't have both. So he's going to need the AP or the magic to improve his shield. This is... yeah, it's okay. I thought it would be broken today because I had her with class upgrade. Every other crit gain 1 shard, and any shard you generate, he gains mana regen, right? But it kind of sucked. It wasn't really impressive. Again, Gustav, in my opinion, is just part of those heroes that I buy if I find him on A tier or an early B tier, Act 2 A tier, and I'm looking for an upgrade, right? I'm looking for someone on my team is not doing enough, and I'm looking for something, right? And then I'm gonna get that Gustav if he just shows up in A tier, but it's not something I buy early. Similar issue as Pollen, right? If I find an A tier Pollen in Act 2, I'm happy, most likely, if I have some mana regen items or if I have money to buy them and look for them. But I'm not buying a C tier Gustav in Act 1. I'm not buying a C tier Pollen in Act 1. It will lose me the game. It will literally lose me the game. They don't do enough. They just don't. Right? It is what it is, bro. The Mystics just don't do enough. They're very item intensive. They're the most item intensive class. They're very feast or famine. Either they do nothing, or they have so much mana regen that they do everything and no one dies. And everyone stays alive, and it's GG. This is a good backup. This is a very solid backup. If you get him early, start of combat, spend 4 shards to give Gustav an investment. Give all heroes mana regen per investment too. This is insane. Remember, this guy only gives Mystics and Assassins mana regen, and this is already very nice. But Gustav gives everyone mana regen. Now imagine who is a very nice non-Mystic unit that loves mana. Well, Funke, right? But also Kai. So really good support for these 2 characters. And these 2 characters are part of everyone's success in Red Rift right now. So yeah, solid. Maybe I'll bump him up. You need to get this early, and you need to watch out to always have 4 shards, so you get this 5 investments, gain 30 shards back. Otherwise, you will be broke. GG then. Okay, so should we upgrade him? You know what? I'm convinced myself. Less rage bait. Cinema, less rage bait. Then we have Aria. Aria is not S tier anymore. She used to be, on the last patch, in my opinion, S tier below these 2, but she was definitely S tier. I think she was above Funke. She was actually like this. This is a last patch. Actually, which is insane. But she is not S tier anymore. She is still A tier. She's still amazing, but her nerf is very noticeable. Her nerf is extremely noticeable. What they nerfed about her is this used to be 100% magic scaling. Now it is 75% magic scaling. Now that is just a massive nerf. It is what it is. That is a huge damage nerf. That's like a 25% damage nerf. They gave her some base damage, which she didn't have. And they gave her some base shielding as well, which she didn't have. So she's a lot better at C and B tier now without items than she used to be. But the way I played her was usually like an A tier with this stall thing where she gets plus 50% magic, and she just ults the freaking dragon twice, and the dragon is dead. Her most notable class upgrade used to be either this mana regen or, well, obviously on cast Inflict Frost is always broken, but after stall 15, 30, 45, gain 100 mana, just so she ults very quickly and just applies the frost, and then once she has like 400 frost on the enemy, the next ult just kills the boss immediately. Even a B tier Aria was extremely good. Now, not so much. A tier Aria is still amazing. Still an A tier character. And all of her specs are viable. She's a very well-designed unit. You need shielding, there you go. You have a Grace with backup, like I said, with the Radiant. There you go, bro. Amazing unit. Amazing. Probably the one thing that I would take the most early game. That's a lie. I think if I have a good stall team or a decent, like let's say I have a Rowan, I'm insta-picking this. Because this is so much magic she's getting on stall trigger. Any stall trigger from relics, from other heroes, gain 3 magic permanently. And this can stack up pretty fast. And then at stall 20, she gives herself to all of her magic plus 50%. And then at 40, plus 50% again. So it's still amazing damage, but just not as broken as she was. Still a very insane character. And even this one is very good. Mages inflict more debuffs. This can be a good backup for this guy. This pairs incredibly well with Sal, because they just jerk each other off really well. Again, the duelist class, and then whenever a mage or duelist inflicts a debuff, well, she does that a lot. AoE as well, right? So she gets a lot of attack speed and magic from this backup. Meanwhile, also Sal, like I talk backup, you can play them both on your board for the final fight. It's very good because Sal is going to apply more frost through this extra, more debuff passive, right? So you can play both of these together and it's actually very nice. So all 3 Aria specs are very good and can be used at whenever appropriate, right? Now, still, that being said, I tried her a little bit as a C tier. I would not buy her as a C tier. I buy her early game as a C tier if she's on sale, and that's it. That's it. And then if I don't have a stall team, I take this one. If I have a stall team, I take this one. I don't take this one early, but if she shows up as an A or S tier in the shop and she has this one, I am not upset about it, because if she shows up as an A or S tier, we're probably late game already, so we're probably getting ready to kill the final boss, and she is very good with this against the final boss. So still a very good unit. Gonna move her above Gustav for sure. And gonna move her above Rowan as well. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. Below Pimenta. Pimenta carries early game so hard, whereas she doesn't. And Pimenta's still an amazing tank, even later on. Okay, next one. Skorn. Piece of garbage. Is he D? Probably not. Probably not D. But he kind of sucks. He's good at one thing and one thing only. And again, a lot of people think he's extremely strong. We're talking only Red Rift. I know he can be Giga broken in Endless, I think, with this. Taunt all enemies and gain shields per stall trigger this game. If you have a bunch of stall triggers, this can be literally infinite shielding. And then he deals damage to enemies equal to 50% of his remaining shield. If you just give him a bunch of shielding from Pollen in Endless mode and Gustav together, I'm pretty sure this is completely broken, right? But just talking Red Rift, are you gonna have an A-tier Skorn that's tanky enough? Are you gonna have a freaking A-tier Pollen and A-tier Gustav, and both of them have amazing mana regen items? Probably not. Probably not. So that's why these type of strategies are not that good in Red Rift. Whereas something like a Reyna, who just, you pick the duelist thing and you just put her on the board, no items, and she's gonna get some work done. That is very good in Red Rift. Tempo. Tempo is the name of the game. Just being as strong as possible at any given time is the name of the game in Red Rift. And this is what they don't accomplish. However, there is one good thing about him. Whenever Skorn inflicts poison, he inflicts an equal amount of frost. Whenever Skorn inflicts frost, he gains 20 shields on B tier. That is just like Snake Lady. Just like Snake Lady, if a lot of people are targeting him, just like the Serpent's Kiss, he is gonna be freaking unkillable. And this is a very good synergy with the Frost Gauntlet epic item and with the Poison Gauntlet epic item as well. Because instead of having to wait for his stall 10 to trigger to apply poison, he's gonna immediately be applying poison and then frost, or frost from the Frost Gauntlet. And that's how he becomes very, very tanky. Now, keep in mind, just like any other character in this game, even though he is one of the worst tanks, doesn't mean he's useless. If I have a B tier tank Kai in Act 2, 2-item tanks in Act 2 are not going to be enough. So I will pivot into an A tier Skorn. It is what it is. And I hope he's going to have this. But an A tier Skorn, even if he has this one at start of combat, for each tank in combat, inflict poison on all enemies and give all allies defense. Like, this is a backup ability, but even if he has this, I would still see myself playing him. If he has something like something good here, right? Maybe he has this. Tanks gain defense against damage from enemies with frost. I always have some relic that applies frost at the start of fight, so this is no problem, right? When auto-attacked, inflict frost on the attacker. That can pair up really well with, if you get the lucky, this one, right? There's a lot of things that can go really well in terms of Skorn here, right? When auto-attacked by an enemy with frost, gain HP per second. Similar to the Snake Lady again. Tanks gain defense against damage from enemies with poison. Again, there's a lot of relics that apply poison at the start of the fight. He can apply poison after a couple seconds with his stall ability. This hero gains defense for each enemy targeting it. My point is that a lot of these class upgrades can make an A tier tank extremely tanky, no matter who they are, no matter if they're Skorn, and Skorn is really not the best one. It can still be decent, but it is a tier list, and yeah, this can pop off as well. I'm sure this can pop off in Red Rift as well if the stars align. But if the stars align, we can't put him in the A tier. We have to put him in the C tier, you know, because the stars have to align, and he doesn't tank the bosses. So that's about it. Yeah, that's a C tier for me. I think Hoyoung actually higher than him. People are gonna hate me. I think Hoyoung higher than him. Another B tier, Karsu. Karsu is a very solid B tier because she does one thing very well, and everything else she doesn't do well at all. Let's talk about it. So, Karsu, she is a boss killer and nothing else. Lose a volley of 5 arrows at nearby enemies. Each arrow deals damage and inflicts frost. What this does in fights where there's multiple enemies involved, she's gonna randomly shoot everyone a little bit. She's not gonna apply a lot of frost on everyone. The frost is gonna disappear by the time she ults again, so she's not gonna stack frost on them. Remember, frost disappears every 2 seconds, 1 stack. So she's not gonna stack up the frost on them. She's not gonna do a ton of damage on them because a lot of her damage is locked behind the frost application. The more frost she applies, the less defense the enemy will have, the harder she's gonna hit. So she's really good against the demon. She's also good against the Hydra. She's good against the final bosses. She is very good against bosses, but single target, she is freaking awful. Single target, she's good. Multiple targets, she's freaking awful. What you can do is you can just have a B tier Karsu on your bench if you have enough money, and just save her for the boss fights. That's it. Which one of these it is doesn't really matter. If you get an early B tier Karsu, again, even in Act 1, I have lost random fights when I had a B tier Karsu and a B tier tank, because I was feeling so safe that there's no way I lose. I have 2 B tier characters in Act 1. But you can lose. You can absolutely lose with Karsu because she's that bad against multiple enemies. So do watch out for that. But then obviously if you do have a strong early game setup where she can kind of still do her thing, then this is very good. On cast, permanently gain crit attack and attack speed, because then she can actually do something as a backup as well, and then you put her back in for the boss fights, right? So this, she's actually helping people. Then obviously this after stall, Snowpiercer arrows gain crit. That is obviously just solid against the demon especially, right? She's gonna get that crit chance, and then the demon already has like 150 frost on him, and then boom, one more ult and it's dead. And then the warrior class is fine because remember, always having 2 classes is always good for items like the prism, the epic item that gives bonus stats to your main classes stats, right? So she's gonna get not only attack speed for the duelist class, but also attack for the warrior class here. And then obviously this is just good in general. On auto attack, fire an additional arrow that inflicts frost and deals a percentage of normal auto attack damage. I had a really strong Karsu with this, with a lot of attack. That was sick. She was actually carrying. Like I said, every unit can pop off and become, and look broken. Doesn't mean that they are, but they can look broken once in a blue moon, like this mother trucker. I love him. I love him. He's so fun. I love when I find him S tier in the shop, I am throbbing. Anyway, guys, there we go. Karsu, good B tier, below Reyna. It's hard to rank Karsu though because she's really good. Like if we're talking about boss fights, she's here. If we're talking about boss fights, she's here. But we're talking about general game, she's probably here. Then let's go. Let's go another interesting. Let's go Logan. Logan. Where does Logan go? I think he's a B tier character. Logan can go from Giga S tier because he just wins you the run by himself to D tier. But if you play well, I think he's just B tier. The way to play well is maybe he's top of C tier. I think I have to put him top of C tier. Because he can only shine under one circumstance, but then he really shines, right? That one circumstance is you get an early B tier Logan. Although, you know what? No. I'm going to bump him. Well, I'm going to do that in a moment. I'm going to bump him back to B tier because Twitch chat has been telling me, and I have to agree with them, I think I'm a bad player in that regard. I am not flexible enough. I think this Juggernaut is actually can be good. But let's talk about the good stuff. So this rush thing, I never really do unless I just am playing a rush build with Nyx and this guy already, and then I just happen to find like an A or S tier Logan with this, and I already have 150 rush triggered. Well, this will just win your game. Gain attack per rush and defense per rush trigger this game. This attack is just going to make him kill everything very fast. And all warriors get this, by the way, so you could play a Reyna as well, because you don't really need this guy late game after you already stacked a lot of rushes. Usually he's going to be your tank, and then you just play two units that benefit from all the rushes, like an Irini with Call Down Lightning, the electric here. But yeah, so this can be good, but it's not something you build around, in my opinion. What you build around, though, is the momentous. On kill, gain mana and permanently gain 15 attack and crit. If you get this guy in your first shop, if you start with a Logan and then the first shop is this, you are probably going to win the game for free. If your Logan is in the second shop, you're still going to have a very good time. Anything past that, I am not sure if I'm buying him. Because I tried today in the third shop and I had to sell him because it just wasn't enough. Because this is a snowballing ability and it really shows. So if he snowballs right away, he gets all the kills and then he goes crazy. If you take him a little bit later, he just doesn't get the kills enough and doesn't do enough damage, and you start losing and he falls behind. And remember, there's only a certain amount of fights, so the later you get him, the less fights you're able to scale him in. So this is very good early, but the later it gets, the worse it gets, obviously. And apparently this should just be a good tank. If you find an A tier Logan in a shop in Act 2 and you don't have a good tank, this can just be a good tank. Whenever Logan deals damage with execution, he gains lasting shields equal to 75 plus 50% per level of the damage dealt. This is a lot. This is a lot. If you give him some items and some tank stuff, like, he's gonna actually shield a lot. So he can be a decent, okay tank. Which probably, since he has such a huge upside of just straight up winning you the run with this momentous here, I think we can leave him in B tier at the very lowest. At the very lowest point of B tier though. But yeah, one other thing to keep in mind is he scales very well with magic. Okay, he scales very well with magic as well. So what you do on him is you give him the Adaptive Blade. It's an epic item that whenever I'm playing Logan, I will heavily reroll the first boss shop to find, because there's a lot of epic items in that shop, to find the Adaptive Blade. And when you find it, what that item says, it start of combat, it sets the magic or the attack of the owner to the higher value of the two. So if you have 700 attack and 20 magic, you're gonna have 700 attack and 700 magic. And look at the scaling. That is really good. That is essentially doubling his damage. Now, I do think this is a little bit bugged because in the game it says 400% attack and 200% magic. But it's at least giving him plus 50% damage. That's all you need to know. It's either plus 50 or plus 100% damage. Either of those numbers are ridiculous. For a single item, it costs 25 bucks, but still, you know, makes him really freaking strong. And then once he can stack up his freaking ultimate to deal AoE damage and stun, that's when you know you won the run, usually. He's just gonna kill everything by himself. Yeah, amazing. Amazing unit, class upgrades, pretty self-explanatory. You have some good warrior stuff, like on crit permanently gain attack. This is not that good. The 20 Omnivamp is fine. This hero's auto attacks gain crit is also not that good. For rush, gain plus 100% attack. Let's say you have 600 attack from your stacking, and then boom, plus 100%. Insane. Ridiculous. Gain lasting shields, makes him a pseudo tank. I like this one a lot. On crit, he has infinite crit because he stacks crit, so he's always going to crit with each auto attack. Gain mana, so you just give him attack speed and he's just going to repeatedly cast his ultimate and do a ton of damage. This hero gains 1 attack per shields it has. Can be good, right, with this other thing that he has, this thing, or even just with other people shielding him. The warriors have some really good class upgrades in general. There's a lot of things you can do with them, with shielding. Yeah, next one. So we're gonna leave Logan in B bottom. Then let's take a nice good old Dragomir. So Mage Dragomir fell off a little bit because they actually nerfed him 2 patches ago. But the stacking Dragomir didn't get changed, and that is still very good. It can turn into a boss killer. It can farm infinite gold for your run. I think I'm gonna put him above Gustav, and if it's just up to me, I think he's above Rowan. But Rowan is really good. Rowan is very flexible, very good, very tanky, but there is a lot of good tanks. And there's not a lot of good boss killers, and he can turn into a good boss killer. So let's check it out. We have him with this greedy upgrade, Dragomir. We have him with this the greedy. Devour generates plus 2 more shards on kill. On cast, consume 2 shards to permanently gain Omnivamp and crit. If you get this early, you're extremely happy. Like I said, it's just like the other things. When if you get it early, it stacks up and it's good. If you don't get it early, don't take this one anymore. Just take the mage one, and that's what makes him better than someone like Logan. Because with Logan, if you don't get it early, you kind of just sell him because he's going to be underwhelming, the stacking. But this guy, he is not going to be underwhelming. He can just go mage, because the mage spec is actually very good too, even after the nerfs. On cast, gain extra Omnivamp and teleport behind the lowest health enemy. So this extra Omnivamp can actually do really well against bosses as well. Now, there is an issue with this. He will jump into the AoE. If you're using a melee tank, he will jump into the AoE of the final dragon boss, into the AoE auto attacks, and he will usually die unless you get lucky and you get this bad boy here, critical defenses. You get some defense on him. Then he's going to be fine. Then he's going to be just fine, and he can actually carry. But yeah, he can farm a lot of money with this because he generally, like, he's just teleporting behind the lowest health enemy, right? So he is gonna just focus the lowest health enemy, which is gonna have a pretty high chance to give you kills, which is gonna farm shards. Especially on A tier, it's gonna farm 6 shards per kill. That's a lot of money. And money generation is very good, because if you're broke, then you can't buy better tanks and whatever the frick, better items. But if you have money, you're in a very good position. But yeah, my preferred one usually nowadays, especially first or second shop, is this greedy thing. Very, very nice. If you start off with a Dragomir and you get this starter upgrade where you start off with a B tier character, this is very nice. Same with Logan, same with all of these stacking things, crit Ratna. Then the thing about Dragomir is he's not only very flexible in these, he's also flexible in this. Gain the Vanguard class and 200 max HP. If you need a tank, he can act as a drain tank. In true vampire fashion, he can just heal back up and tank for you if you give him some tank items. And it's really not that bad. He gets a lot of Omnivamp. It is not bad. And for Rush 8, Assassins and Vanguards gain Omnivamp and crit per shard generated this game. If he popped off, or if you had, let's say, a Hoyoung pop off and farm a lot of shards, or a Yuuna pop off and farm a lot of shards, and then you find him later with this Vanguard thing, it is not bad at all, right? It can be a lot of freaking upfront damage. And remember, the more shards he generates, the more Omnivamp he's going to get at the start of the fight with this for Rush 8. Unfortunately, it's just Rush 8, it's just 8 seconds. But this is a lot of... The Omnivamp is what gives him so much damage, right? His damage scaling on his ult is 1000% Omnivamp and only 200% magic. So magic sucks on him. His best stats are Omnivamp, crit, because crit gives him more Omnivamp, and mana regen, because you want him to ult as often as possible, so he stacks more and more Omnivamp every time. But yeah, very, very good unit. I definitely think deserves an A tier from me here. Higher than Rowan, oftentimes, yeah. Mage Dragomir, still very good. Nerfed a lot, but still pretty good. Yeah. Next one. Let's think about Niklas. Niklas once again, just a very situational character, but I do think if he pops off, he can just single-handedly win you the run. If he doesn't pop off, you just don't buy him. It's simple as that. So I think with that, he's just gonna go in B. I think I use him more often. That's too much rage bait, right? That's so much rage bait, bro. The thing is, Logan, I use him more often than Logan, but Logan is more of a free win when it pops off. So let's again talk about it. Niklas, why am I putting him on B tier when just 1 week ago I thought he's the weakest character in the game? Because this is actually broken. All of this other stuff is complete trash. Look, gain 2 item slots, 4 rush 15, gain shields per equipped item. This is not a lasting shield. So even if you have Giga Shield, after 10 seconds it's going to disappear. Completely awful. Then gain the tank class and 30 defense. Whenever a Vanguard or tank is attacked, they deal 1 damage to the attacker per shard generated. This could be 20 damage per shard generated, and I wouldn't give a frick about it. That's how weak it is. I don't care about these, but this is a banger. Swing a mace to deal damage and stun for 3 seconds. This ability has 25% chance to create a random item. Like I already said in the intro of this video, S tier Niklas prints epic items. A tier Niklas is the minimum. He prints rare items. Common items suck, but the rare items, 25% chance every time he ults to get a rare item. If you just feed him mana regen, which you can, when Niklas survives combat, consume the item in his leftmost item slot. And if you just give him mana regen items or attack speed, I like this one epic item, which looks like a little virus, image, like a little unstable orb that is about to explode type of thing. And that item says, on hit, steal 1 mana from the enemy. Not only is this very nice to steal mana from the dragons, the final dragon bosses, so they don't do their AoE attack, which can wipe out, or not really wipe out, but it can do a lot of damage to your backline units. Also, this item is very nice on him because you just feed him attack speed items, which there's plenty of, and then you just give him this. You do not want to feed him this item because he does not absorb the passive of this item. He only absorbs raw stats. He does, however, absorb extra stats that have stipulations on them. For example, the Sentinel's Plate. That is the little knee brace item that if the unit is solo in the front line, it triples its stats. So it's 60 defense and 600 HP. And he gets all of these if you position him properly. Solo frontline, he is going to get 60 defense and 600 HP from eating that item. So you can really make him pop off, okay? And the thing is, it's very expensive, but if he's farming items for himself with this, you can really make him pop off. I had an A tier Niklas early in Act 1, and he just solo carried the game. Like, he just did 150k, tanked everything, 150k to the final boss. Like, he just did everything himself, and he stuns as well. He stuns the final boss for 3 seconds at a time. Like, he is actually broken if the stars align. However, the stars align a lot less, or the stars align slightly more often than with this guy, because if I find an A tier Niklas at the start of Act 2, I'll still pivot into it. If I find an S tier Niklas at some point in Act 2, I'll still most likely pivot into it. So the stars align more often, but the stars, even if they align, he's not going to be as broken as Logan's star aligning, because Logan's star aligning means it's a free win. You win the Red Rift, congratulations. So I do think Niklas deserves to be below Logan, but just slightly. They are very similar characters in how they work. We're reaching the end here. Nice. This is freaking long though. Scheiße. I do apologize, guys. I hope you're appreciating this info. Let me know again in the comments below if you like these really long videos. A lot of people say they do. Those people get a lot of upvotes or likes on their comments on YouTube. So I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying me yapping, because I like to yap, as you can imagine. Especially about this game right now. I love this game. And put a little zebra emoji, like a little zebra, the animal. Put a little zebra emoji in the comment section if you are still watching at this point. If you're too lazy to search for the zebra emoji on your phone, or if you're watching this on PC, just type zebra in the comments. Just so I know how many people are watching this far. Anyway, moving on. So, Ratna. Another stacking hero, but way better than these guys. Way more flexible, way better. Going at least here. And I think even above this guy. Okay. So Ratna is extremely strong. I even had some bad games today with Ratna, so I'm kind of sad. But I think I just misplayed those, because she is just like any other stacking character. You just have to realize when to sell her. Okay? And this is not Ratna. So you have to realize when to sell her. So today I had 2 bad games with her. I took the assassin Ratna, and then she didn't scale enough, and I failed to pivot out of her. I tried to keep making her work, and I lost the run. That's just my mistake. That doesn't mean she's bad. She's still extremely strong. I believe they nerfed her a tiny bit, but she's still extremely strong. She is still gonna farm a lot of crit. Yes, they did. It used to be 3 plus 3 per level. Now it's 3 plus 2 per level. So it used to be 6 at B rank and 9 crit permanent at A rank. Now it is 7 crit permanent at A rank. Definitely a nerf, but even after the new patch, I literally managed to one-shot the final boss with this girl. Literally one-shot. The only other damage was just her auto attacks and the other guys of my team, the tank, just auto-attacking a little bit until she was able to get her mana and cast, which was like 2 seconds into the fight. And she just, one laser, bum, or one little lightning, bum. The dragon actually died, which was insane. With this assassin, she had like 700 extra crit and like, or like, let's say like 400 extra crit and like 800 magic. So it was insane. because she scales magic as well, right, from her base Starfall ability. She does that on every class. Now, the reason why I think she's good is because if the stars align, she wins you the run for free with this, right? But even if the stars don't align and you just get her later, you can go Mystic. I like this. I think this is underrated. I don't see a lot of people using this. I think it is heavily underrated because you give her mana regen and she makes all your other units cast. On cast, other heroes gain magic and mana regen. So someone like Funke is going to cast a lot. Someone like this guy is going to cast a lot. And it can go really crazy. Someone like S tier Niklas, oh my goodness, I hope that's going to happen to me in a run where I have an S tier Niklas and I was already playing a supportive Ratna. Yeah, GG. So this can be good. This can be good. And backup only at the start of combat, mages and mystics gain magic and mana regen, also fine. But obviously the really broken thing is the fashionable. If you have some extra item slots, you just give her a bunch of epic items and she is completely broken if you then get the class upgrade. I mean, I made a whole video about this, right? You've seen it, hopefully. If you haven't, check out at least the first run of that video. You will see how broken she is if you think she's not broken. We can get the magic to defense. Where is it? At start combat, if this hero is in the front row, they gain 100% of magic defense. So with this, an epic item is 3 times this. So if you have 6 epic items on her, which, yeah, admittedly for 6 items you need to basically have the freaking starting option that almost no one picks, but I like to pick it a lot and I have a good win rate on it at this point, which is you can only bring 2 units to each fight, but they can hold 2 more items. But if you have this, you have a 6 item Ratna with freaking 6 epic items, which is expensive admittedly, but you're only bringing 2 units. You can afford it, trust me. I've always been able to afford it. Only bringing 2 units is so much cheaper than 3. And yeah, she's just gonna have like 1000 magic from all of these items, infinite mana regen, infinite HP per second, and then infinite resistances or defense. She's just gonna 1v9. So this is extremely good. And then she also has the freaking assassin class upgrade where she can pop off and solo carry a run, and she has some pretty feet. She has some pretty feet. Oh, whoops, I muted myself accidentally. It's probably for the better. Probably for the better, man. So I think she goes into a nice A tier. The reason why I'm not putting her above this is because the stars have to align for her crit thing, and the fashionable is also kind of like, even if you don't take the quantity over quality starting bonus, you can get the extra item slot on you can get the extra item slot from the first boss shop, right? There's a relic that costs $40 though. It's pretty expensive, but that can also make her pop off. But I feel like Aria, just in an average run of Red Rift, I feel like Aria is more useful, in my opinion. Frost application is king. Everything that can apply Frost is very good. Like, this girl is such a piece of garbage, but she can apply Frost, so she's in the B tier. Like, just on paper, if she didn't apply Frost, this guy would be way better, but she applies Frost. GG, bro. Speaking of another frosty boy, this Nyx, I think it's a girl. But people are like, I think it's a boy. I don't know. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? It's a little child. I can't goon to it. I don't want to goon to it. Luckily, I'm not that messed up in the head. Luckily, guys. I just goon to lizard girls and stuff, you know. So, what do we do here? This is a very strong unit. This is a very, very powerful unit. You can build teams around it. It can build. It has a lot of single target damage for bosses. It has access to. I'm going to talk about it first and then rank it. I think to accurately rank it, I need to gaslight myself a little bit into ranking it higher. I think because it can look very useless, but it's extremely strong. This is the best one. The Spark, Stall, gain the Frost. Right, the Wild is pretty bad unless you have the little 15 cost rare item that says on auto attack gain magic, on ability use gain attack. That with this, like this guy uses his ability very often, 55 mana only. So he's just gonna pop off with this. It's actually not bad, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy, but it's not bad. Then the gain the assassin thing is okay. The execute is nice. It's not bad. It's cool, but it's definitely not as good as this one. But it's better than the wild. The wild is all across the board the worst one most of the time. Again, it can still pop off. It can do a lot of damage if you have this item that, you know, scales with the on hit and on ability usage. But yeah, Spark for the most part extremely good. Not only does this kid enable rush thingies because it resets all its rush abilities, it also enables stall stuff, right? Like Rowan, like Rowan's stall stuff, right? Rowan's stall stacking. So this is a really good unit. There's also a lot of relics that say on stall your whole team gains a 10% HP shield. That's a relic. That's amazing, right? So having 3 stalls is freaking sick. Then of course it has his own rush ability, but if you can give him more rush items, that's when it pops off so freaking hard. So you want to give him rush items. There's this one little rush item that gives a bunch of Omnivamp, 15 cost, and you have to do a quest first, which is just triggering 7 rush abilities from any source, can be relics as well, and then which this guy does in 1 turn anyway, with just his own rush. And then it says for rush 5 gain, or rush 7 maybe, gain 150 crit on auto attacks, which is, it doesn't matter if it's the crit doesn't matter, it's just another rush ability. Then there's the attack speed rush item, right, that gives you bonus attack speed for a couple seconds with rush, and this is really insane on him. Then there's the Giga Broken item, his best item. It's an epic item. It says for rush 7 gain 33% additional stats. That's insane. All stats plus 33%. And then if he re-triggers this rush, I think it stacks, so it's plus 66, but I'm not sure on that. I might be yapping, but it did look like that to me oftentimes when he really pops off. So yeah, amazing unit. Stacks up your rush triggers as well, so someone like this guy starts getting 5000 HP. Someone like this guy becomes not completely useless because he just applies 1000 burn. Yes, I had runs carried by Ming, but it's actually Nyx just triggering all the rushes and Rip, and yeah, carrying Ming, and then Ming just does the damage, for example, or she does the damage with this. This is a classic team. The electric Irini with Nyx and Rip. So this is a very classic rush combo, right? These two together, and it's probably some of my most played team comp. And then I just put someone in that benefits from rush triggers, and it ends up being really freaking strong. So yeah, definitely gotta put this guy high, at least A tier, and probably in a pretty high position in A tier. I think goes under Ratna. Goes under Ratna. But he does so much damage as well. Like, he's good against the demon. He applies frost. Something I need to show as well. Yeah, I'm gonna put him here. I'm gonna put him here, but something else I need to show here is also class upgrades are just amazing of duelists, right? Duelists have some of the most amazing class upgrades. Whenever duelists attack an enemy with burn, gain attack speed, stuff like that is amazing. And then on auto attack, inflict frost. This is freaking amazing. This is completely broken, so that is exactly what you want. Yeah. On auto attack, gain 1 crit and attack per debuff on the target. It's okay. Duelists gain attack speed per rush trigger. That is also insane because you just start with 150 bonus attack speed and stuff like that. There's some really good class upgrades for this guy as well. So yeah, overall amazing unit. Early game very squishy though. Early game very squishy, but starting B tier, amazing freaking unit. C tier can be used early to just stack up rushes. Next. So for the next one, we'll just have his friend Rip. I think Rip is just better. I think Rip is just better, and I think Rip actually goes here for me. I think Rip is top of A. This is an unpopular opinion. In my opinion, I think this is the second best tank in the game. And I'm going to show you why I think that. I think this guy is honestly freaking broken. And I think he's very flexible, and I think he's way more flexible than people think. If I get an early Rip, I'll buy him. He stacks up the Rift Seal on the Vanguard thing without feeding. He's not going to die early, so that's good. He's stacking up rush triggers because he has a rush, and whenever Rip or an enemy adjacent to him first drop below 50% max HP, refresh all of his rush abilities. Just like Nyx, you can give him rush items, and he's going to trigger even more rushes than Nyx, unless you have a Nyx with a lot of attack speed, right? But starting just the baseline, you have like one rush trigger item, you give it to him, it's going to trigger more often because there's like 5 enemies on average per fight, or like pretty much bang on 5 enemies every fight, right? And for each of these enemies, when they drop below 50%, he's going to re-trigger his rushes. So that is basically like 10 rushes every single fight. That's freaking amazing if he has an item and this rush ability, right? So that's freaking amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Then for class upgrades, he can get more rushes, right? He can get... where is it? Vanguard's gain... There's a rush ability. I know there is. Ah, scheisse, bro. Is there none? Am I stupid? This thing scrolls so much, man. Oh, I'm dumb as bricks then. Oh, I'm dumb as bricks. Really? Oh, no. There is. See? Rush, gain plus 100 max HP. Amazing. He scales with max HP, so this is amazing anyway. So this is probably his best version. Then this is actually freaking busted. On rush trigger, gain max HP, attack, and attack speed just for one fight. But this is... he has so many rush triggers. This guy can solo carry. This guy can literally solo carry. He's gonna have plus 5, 6k health late game. So he's gonna have like 8k health. You don't even need defense at that point anymore. He's probably gonna have the Omnivamp item that gives rush, that has a rush trigger. Then you give him the epic item that gives plus 33% to stats. And he is just gonna attack so fast with his stupid... it looks goofy. No one attacks as fast as him. No one. Like, he's actually insane. I cannot believe when my Twitch chat says Rip sucks. And a lot of them say it, even though they watch my stream. Maybe they're closing their eyes. I don't know. But insane. Like, I think this guy is freaking broken. I think this is also really strong. Enter a Rage, gaining max HP, attack speed, and Omnivamp. This ability stacks. He gains a lot of attack speed from this. Refresh all his abilities and gain attack speed. He gains a lot of attack speed. You can give him the rush attack speed item, right? So he gains even more attack speed. That way he also gets infinite move speed, so he just teleports to the next unit, basically. And he can just keep stacking this. This is freaking insane. He can 1v9 fights. He can literally win fights by himself. Completely by himself. He actually does a decent amount of damage, because for rush, gain 5% of health attack. So he actually goes freaking insane. Really good unit. And then this thing is, by the way, I had this today and it was okay. I lost the run, but not because of him. I misplayed some other things. I didn't have enough damage. But this is okay. On crit, steal health from the target. And he scales with max health. It's not even bad. And this is a lot of health that you're stealing. 50% of his crit. And he gets a lot of crit because he turns into an assassin. So he gains base crit stats from the assassin class. So it's actually really good. And he just goes crazy. And again, if you get this on rush trigger gain attack speed, like, this is so freaking broken. And in general, I think rush is better than stall in this game, because Red Rift is brutal. The enemies are so freaking strong. The faster you can kill at least one of them, the easier the fight gets, right? If you're killing the first freaking tank of the enemies fast, then there's only 4 enemies left, let's say, in a regular fight. And it's just like, you want to kill stuff fast. The dragons as well. The dragons stack poison on you and stuff, right? Frost, burn. You want to kill them fast. You don't just want to let them sit there and stall. Like, you need to have a very strong stall team to make up for a slightly above average rush team, in my opinion. So this is, like, a lot of these things are freaking insane, man. 100 max HP, okay. Like, there's a lot of things that rush just does so well. There's a lot of relics. There's a relic that does this for your whole team. Not max HP, but attack and attack speed. That's crazy. There's a relic that does attack speed crit on rush trigger for your whole team. Then there's a relic that you can kind of get early, very consistently. I've been picking it all day and just pivoting into a rush team, and it was freaking broken. It says on rush trigger, your team gains 250 shield. And that's just permanent shield. No one dies. No one dies. If you have this guy and Nyx on your team, no one freaking dies at that point anymore. And there's some really broken combos with Rush. So I do think Nyx and Rip are just top tier units. Top tier units. Not as broken as Funke and this gentleman, but they are really freaking strong. They're really freaking strong. I might even put Nyx above Aria. But I mean, Nyx is just good because he spams Rush. He's not good by himself, whereas she's good by herself, right? Yeah. Irini. Irini is a very solid DPS character, but she's not as good as she used to be. So I talked to the developers like a week ago, and they told me that the Rush was actually bugged, but they already fixed this way before this patch. Rush was completely broken because it was actually applying double. So every rush you were applying counted as 2 rushes for the rush counting stuff, right? So she, I'm not gonna place her in B yet, but I'm gonna check where I place her after talking about her. So this ability here, call down lightning per stall and rush triggered. You're obviously not going to trigger that much stall, right? You can't trigger that much stall. Like if you triggered 50 stall in a game, you probably did a lot. But if you triggered 150 rush, you're not even close to my record, right? Like my record is probably in the 200 something. So, and 150 rush, by the way, a lot. Still a lot. Still very good. But yeah, so this used to be crazy. This used to be so freaking broken. She would just one-shot the final boss. She can still do a ridiculous amount of damage, but it's just not as broken as it used to be. Still really freaking good. They nerfed this one after stall. Whenever a duelist attacks, it gains attack speed and attack. It used to be just right at the start of the fight. Now they added a stall 10 to it. I think this made it way worse. I don't recommend this. Honestly, I don't recommend this. I recommend you to play Irini when you have a bunch of rush triggers, then this is broken. Or if you can get a very early Irini with this and stack this up, and then you can actually, once it's fully stacked up, you can get rid of her. You can get rid of her and put this item on someone else that has a lot of attack speed, and it's gonna work. I'm looking forward to the day where I put it on Rip with a freaking rush attack speed item. You can give it to Nyx. I gave it to this lady when she was applying Frost and Duelist extra attack speed. That was really good. She was AoEing everyone down. But yeah, Irini sucks. Irini as a unit, if you take this, sucks because her whole power budget is going into this item. And then once you stack it up on her, because she has to stack it up, then you can just give it to a better Duelist that has a better B tier passive. Or you can retrain her. But if you retrain her into this, it kind of is an anti-synergy because you want her to just auto-attack. That's when this is strong. And this is an active, so she's going to spend time using her active. And this one just got a little bit nerfed too much. So I feel like I would just not play Irini. I would just move this item to someone else. It is what it is. And play her maybe as a backup or just sell her. Yeah. And what you can also do is you can just sell Irini right after getting this item, and then you have a 30 attack speed item and 22 crit. And is it worth it investment wise? No, but it's not a bad item. 30 attack speed, 22 crit. It's like a nice rare item. So you have like a 15 shard worth of item. It's not bad. It's okay. But yeah, that's like a very desperate play when you're like, holy frick, I have this trash Irini and I have nothing. I have literally nothing, bro. I'm gonna die. I'm on my last leg. I need some immediate power, and she's on sale for 18 bucks, and you get a free item. And then you just sell her for 16 bucks or whatever, and then you don't really lose a lot of money, and you get an item. So it's not bad. But yeah, she's this is freaking insane. If the rushes are triggered, if they're not, you just don't buy her. You just play someone else as your carry, and that I think brings her into a nice B tier. Where in the B tier? I mean, higher than Logan for sure, but probably here. I do think she's better, just because of her insane strength on bosses. I like this. Then we have Tilly. Tilly is a unique unit. Tilly is very, very strong. Very, very freaking strong. Yeah. I think this makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Tilly is a very good unit. You can see I'm putting a lot of units into A tier because A tier is just kind of the tier where it's a good unit. It can do stuff. It can get stuff done. B tier is situational. C tier is kind of meh. And D tier is very meh and very situational. But yeah, Tilly is a very moist unit. What she can do is she can just carry your early game. I will buy a Tilly early game. I will always start with Tilly. I think I'll actually put her higher on the tier list. I think she goes over Ratna because I will buy Tilly early game. Because every 25 auto attacks, she gains shards. I will love a Tilly as a starting character as well. So I'm very happy with that. With the Ratna, I'm not really happy as a starting character, so I will move her higher. Then this sucks. On auto attack, deal bonus damage per shard generated this game. This, unfortunately, freaking sucks. Then we have, yeah, just don't take this. I wouldn't recommend you to take this. Then this is fine as a backup ability. I am not that much of a fan of it. Gain attack % and crit % backup for rush 10 only. And then after stall, duelists gain attack speed % and crit %. It's okay, but it's not a crazy backup. But this is really powerful. The Elegant. If I upgrade Tilly myself early, I will always take the Elegant. It will always hard carry the fight, the Act 1 challenge fight, which I want to beat because the Act 2 challenge fight is really strong. She is very similar to Kai in terms of she just goes in and has a big AoE attack that does a lot of damage, and she gains Omnivamp. She can turn into your tank. You give her defense items on A tier, like if I have a B tier tank and I enter Act 2 and I see a Tilly on A rank in the shop with the Elegant, I will buy her, I will sell my tank, and she will be my new tank. I just give her defense items and she's gonna get Omnivamp herself, and she's gonna lifesteal, and she's gonna drain tank the enemies, and she's gonna do an amazing job at it. And she has access to duelist class upgrades, which, like I said, are very strong because on auto attack inflict frost. She also has access to these, and warriors are kind of bad units because a lot of the warriors are kind of meh, like Reyna, like freaking Logan, right? Kai is the exception, but other than that, most of the warriors are kind of meh. Like this guy has a warrior spec, which is meh. Sal's warrior spec is her worst spec. It's still viable, still can be very good sometimes. There is that one relic that when you apply frost, you gain attack and magic, your unit. And she scales with attack and magic on this one, on the warrior spec, which on the others she doesn't. So this can be very strong combination. But for the most part, most of the time, these other two are better. And yeah, so the warriors are just kind of meh in this game, but the warrior class upgrades are extremely strong, and Tilly can make use of that. So that is very nice. On crit, permanently gain attack. That's freaking moist. Gain attack and Omnivamp. Then we have on crit heal and gain mana, which again she can ult more often. For rush 8, gain attack. That's a lot of attack. Warriors gain attack per rush trigger. If you play the other guys with the rush stuff, that is insane. At the start of combat, if you get this early, you can stack permanent attack on someone. Can also be very strong. And warriors get lasting shields, also very good. On combat victory, all warriors gain attack. This hero gains 1 attack per shield it has if you give her some shielding. For the most part though, she does fall off going into Act 2 as a damage dealer. and she is not very good in the first boss fight in general. She's not very good in the first boss fight. She's not very good in boss fights in general, right? She's kind of like the opposite of Karsu. She's really good at the hallway fights, standard fights, but she's not very good at boss fights. But if you play her as a tank, which I actually really like, she can still be good at boss fights because she just tanks them. She efficiently tanks them. It's not bad. It's a very good unit. I think I'm going to bump her up on my tier list here. Let's bump her up a little bit. I think she goes above Ratna. And I think she goes above Nyx as well. But let's do below Nyx, because late game she's definitely worse. But yeah, late game she's definitely worse. But it's a good unit. It's a good unit. Then what else do we have? We have Ming. Let's think about Ming. So Ming is probably a B tier. He's definitely better than Skorn and this guy. He's definitely better than this. He's definitely... It depends if it pops off, man. But I'm telling you, Ming is not that bad. Ming, you have to think of, he's a Vanguard, but he's a damage dealer. I think I'm going to put him here. I think that's reasonable. Let's jump into the game again. We have a Ming. You can see I have Ming with all 3 specs. I won the game. And this is Red Rift. Because I haven't played anything other than Red Rift. So with all 3 specs, I actually won a Red Rift. This one is self-explanatory. Increase the duration of rush abilities, and Ming is immune. Ming is immune to damage. This just allows him to act as a secondary tank. You can just have him naked, and he's going to tank a little bit. It's pretty nice. And then he's going to die after. You need to watch out for your hero death limit. This is not the thing that's exciting. This is very good. For Rush 15, Vanguards gain max HP. That is a lot. That is plus 50% max HP on B rank. So that's a very good backup. If you have this guy with a bunch of max HP stacked up, that is really freaking nice. And with some max HP items as well, right? But then the thing that I really like is his active ability. Channel Flames to deal 100 damage that scales with max HP and magic, and inflict 5 burn per rush triggered, and stun all surrounding enemies for 3 seconds. The rush trigger thing, again, you can easily have like 150 rushes triggered. 200 rush triggered, let's say that's a really on the upper end rush trigger game. So let's say you have 200 rush triggered. Let's see what he does. He's going to apply 1000 burn. That's really good. You give him some mana regen, he's your carry. He's your freaking carry. That's actually good. Now, is that going to happen often? No. Is she better at killing people with this? Yes. Right? Especially at killing the tank. But he is so much better than her in the Act 2 challenge with this. Because even if this is not stacked up that much yet, in the Act 2 challenge, he is going to single-handedly win the fight with this ability. And that's why I have been picking up an early Ming and buying him not on sale. And yeah, and also starting with a Ming is not that bad. Because again, he's a Vanguard, so you can stack up the Rift Seal on the tank / Vanguard class, which is the most important Rift Seal stacks. So early game, I would always buy him over her. Late game, with the same build from your other characters, she is going to be dealing more damage, but he's still going to be very formidable. And he is kind of, this is kind of like, she is what Karsu is, and he is what he is, right? He is not good at tank, at boss fights, but he kills the hallway fights. That's what he does as well. Karsu is just like her, a boss killer, right? So, yeah, I think Ming is, my opinion of Ming has risen over the last couple days, for sure. I don't think it's that bad of a character anymore. And it can definitely be used. And the way I play the game, where I always try to do the Act 2 challenge, he is very, very, very valuable in that sense. Grace. Grace is one of the best characters to put on your bench. And she, if there was a bench tier, she would be S tier. But again, I buy this guy early, these two, no matter what. No matter what, I'm buying these two early. I am not buying Grace early, but if at the second boss shop, or at the going into Act 2 at the first boss shop, or at the only boss shop, right? If she shows up as a nice B or A tier with a good backup ability, I am definitely going to buy her, and I'm going to be very happy about it. So I'm going to put her, it's hard to quantify that, but I'm going to put her like here somewhere. I think Ratna is pretty nice, man. Don't sleep on Ratna, guys. So I'm going to put her here. And yeah, let's explain that in the game, what you want to see. The best Grace. The best Grace is, there's two versions of the best Grace. Either you have a shielding build, then this, a shielding mystic build, then this is amazing. This gives you damage scaling when you otherwise wouldn't have it. This one is completely trash, because this one requires her to be on your board, which she should never be. This sucks. But the selfless, obviously the most generically good one. You just have her as a backup only, and after stall 20, she's gonna heal your team for 500. They nerfed this from 666 to 500. She's gonna shield them, sorry, for 500 and heal them for half that amount, so 250. Like I said, used to be 666 and 333, but they nerfed her with the most recent patch, so I think her stonks have dropped. That's why I would put her in A lower, but this is still amazing. This transforms the game. This is basically why you're losing your Red Rift run to the hero death limit, because you don't have a Grace on your bench. When you have a Grace on your bench, it is gonna be very unlikely that you lose your Red Rift run to the hero death limit, because she's gonna keep the little squishy idiots alive. The class upgrade you want on her by far, is going to be this one. Backup only. At start of combat, give heroes at A tier, which is the earliest you can have a class upgrade, 12 mana regen, 100 attack, and 100 magic. Ladies, with gentle hands, this is extremely broken. This is so much mana regen, so much damage to your entire team. This is the best Grace to get. And the second best one is this one. At start of combat, gain 5 shards and give heroes 1500 shield, because again, has to be A tier, so 500 plus 1000. This is amazing. If you have a stall build, this is also amazing. If you have a stall build, gain a shard and give heroes 3 mana regen, also amazing. There's a lot of really, really good freaking things for Grace to get. Mystics gain 1 mana regen for each reroll this game, also freaking amazing. If you're playing the Grace with the Radiant, you probably have 2 freaking Mystics, Gustav and Pollen, usually shielding your team, or maybe Mystic Aria, shielding your team and applying this passive and applying extra attack and magic. So yeah, there's a lot of good things about Grace. She did get nerfed a little bit though, so I don't see myself buying a C tier Grace just to pray for the B tier upgrade. But before that, the good players did do that before the patch. I think Ratna can just break the game sometimes, so I think she's still higher until he's just good by herself. Yeah, I like this. Appropriate. I think this is good positioning. Then we have Pollen. I am not a fan of Pollen. I think Pollen is what Gustav is, but she does more shielding, but no frost usually. I'm gonna put Pollen somewhere here, maybe. I think she's below Gustav for me. I do think I like Gustav more than Pollen, yeah, because Gustav applies frost, and I value frost very highly. Let's think about Pollen though. Let's think about what she does. So Pollen, early game, complete piece of garbage. I will never buy her early game. I will pretty much never buy her in Act 1. Unless she shows up as a B tier in the shop with the Earth's Child passive ability. Gain the mage class and 30 magic. You don't care about the passive. After stall 20, inflict frost and burn. This is nice. It inflicts frost. But you don't care about this. You care about the 30 extra magic to increase her shield. Because her shield is very low without items. And you want to give her mana regen items. So you can't give her magic or a lot of magic. So you take this and she gets magic, and then you give her mana regen items and she's shielding a nice amount. Obviously late game, if you have an S tier Pollen, this is the highest amount of shielding. So if we're talking about like endless or something, endless mode, this is probably way better. But we're talking about Red Rift, and this is just way better in that. I hate this one. This is fine. This is good. This is still fine. This is freaking awful. After Stall 20, Sanctuary of Bloom inflicts 100% more poison. Poison is the worst debuff in the game. It just doesn't do enough damage. It just ticks too slow. It just, yeah, it just doesn't. I've never seen this pop off. Maybe you can pop off with it, but I've never seen Pollen become like a crazy damage dealer with poison. And then this, after Stall 40, increase the amount of debuffs on all enemies. This is a lot. It increases the debuffs by a lot, but it's also 40 seconds is a lot of stall. This is way too late. So it just sucks. I don't like it. Yeah, if I find an A tier Pollen in Act 2, I do think I'm gonna sell some things to make room for her and purchase her and purchase some mana items, and I think she's gonna perform extremely well. But in Act 1, I'm not very excited about her, usually. And in Act 2, a lot of things can perform better than her. And someone like Gustav can stack up early and become very strong. However, remember, we are talking about the Mystic. So she has access to... Ding, 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 ding. This. Best Pollen is this again. Backup only. Put it on the bench. Enjoy your game. Enjoy your freaking game. This is so freaking broken. Sideline Empowerment. GG. Sideline Empowerment. Beautiful. I think B tier is appropriate, because this mother trucker will lose you the run early game if you buy her too early. Sal. Sal is one of the better characters. She got nerfed. Her best spec got nerfed. I do think it's still very good. It's a good boss killer, and it can be a good AoE killer. I think I'm gonna put her here. Bro. After the Aria nerfs, she might be here, but let's evaluate it. Let's evaluate it. I might still move her. I value her very highly. So, let's say you get an early Sal upgrade. You can get this defense thing and just stack defense on your tank Kai. Wow, amazing. You can also stack double the defense on your Pimenta, which, again, in my opinion, the second best tank in the game. Wow, amazing. So that's really cool. Then, again, I already said briefly earlier, the warrior trait or the warrior class ability is not as good as the other two, but it can still do a lot of thrust application. It can still do a lot of damage. If you have certain relics, like that frozen freeze relic that gives extra attack and magic when you apply frost. So that can go crazy. But this one is the general best one. The Breezy. Gain the duelist class 20 attack speed and 1 attack range. Whenever a mage or duelist inflicts a debuff, they gain 1 attack speed and 1 magic at B tier. So this is already an amazing backup ability, because a lot of duelists like this guy can get a lot of attack speed from this, but they can also get these class upgrades that give them on auto attack inflict burn, on auto attack inflict frost, on auto attack inflict poison. There's also items like the little bow item that says on auto attack inflict burn, on crit inflict poison is also one. So you can get a lot of debuff stacking and get a lot of attack speed from that, and a lot of magic. This also works for mages. So this girl is going to apply a lot of debuffs and get a lot of attack speed and magic from it. So this is an amazing freaking backup. Bro, I keep clicking her instead of Sal. Bro, am I racist? Surely not, right? It's just 2 a.m, man. It's almost 3 a.m, bro. It's just late. My eyes are not working. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, whenever a mage or duelist inflicts debuff. So this got nerfed from... it used to be 1 attack speed and 2 magic plus 1, or 1 magic plus 1 per level. So it used to be basically at B tier, it used to be 1 and 2 magic. At A tier, it used to be 2 attack speed, 3 magic, etc. They just nerfed the magic by 1. So now at B tier, it's 1 and 1, and then 2 and 2, etc. Seizable nerf. Don't underestimate. It's a seizable nerf, but it's still amazing. It is still one of the best freaking frost applicator. And if I have this early with an early Pimenta, and I take the attack speed on Sal, Sal is going to get so much attack speed that she can just single-handedly win the run. So amazing scaling as well. I think Sal up here on the tier list is freaking well-deserved. I think this is well-deserved. And then we have Yuuna for the last unit. Yuuna is pretty bad most of the time, but she's a very good early game unit. She is good against the Hydra because she has burst, so you can kill the Hydra easier because the Hydra is a very tricky boss. You need burst to drop it to 66% health, so it deals a lot less damage as fast as possible. Otherwise, your tank will die unless his name is Kai. That was a nice rhyme. So Yuuna can be good for Act 1, but then usually Act 2 she falls off. However, she can also be the most broken unit in the entire game. And I think for that, she deserves to be B tier. And I think I'll probably put her above Niklas. Because am I buying her early game? Yes, because if you get the money printer early game, let's put her like here. Yeah, let's put her like here. If you get the money printer early game, let's go back to the video game. If you get this one early game, she's just gonna print a lot of money, and then you go into Act 2, she kills the Hydra for you, and then you go into Act 2 and you just sell her. You just sell her on the boss shop and just buy any A tier damage dealer, or B tier even, if they're good, like Sal with Duelist B tier or something. Like, it's not that hard, right? You just play her with this early. If I get this early, I almost always take this. Then this sucks. This poison thing sucks. It's kind of strong. Like, it's probably the strongest if you need damage right now. If you are right before the Hydra, you upgrade her, and you are piss weak. You have nothing else. You have no other burst. This is going to be your highest burst, right? So it's not bad, right? It can be taken. It's acceptable to take. But it's not going to give you any scaling, and it's not going to give you any money, so it's kind of mid. This, again, gives you the money, and this can be the most broken unit in the game. She can one-shot everything. If the stars align, you have to get very lucky. You need an early A tier Yuuna. I had this recently, and she was so freaking broken, I couldn't believe my eyes. When Yuuna goes below 75% max HP, she gains stealth for 4 seconds. Triggers once per combat. Whenever Yuuna gains stealth, she gains 30 mana and permanently gains 10 crit at B tier, but at A tier, which is when it gets broken, it's 15 crit because she can get this bad boy here, and if she gets that, you will win the game. Where is it? At the start of combat, gain stealth. On kill, gain stealth. So every time she kills somebody, which by the way will be all the time because she's a burst unit and she focuses the squishy enemies, so she's gonna get all the kills. Every time she kills somebody, she is gonna get 15 permanent crit at A tier. And this is such a stupid amount of crit because her scaling on crit is so good because she shoots more shuriken the more crit she has. And then you just need to give her some attack or magic and she is gonna pop off. If you get this, right, with the freaking Mystic backup, where you gain 100 attack and 100 magic and mana regen, like, that is so freaking insane. You are gonna kill the final boss in 2 seconds. It is so insane. But that is obviously the stars need to align. Other than that, she's a good Act 1 unit and then kind of falls off Act 2. She can still do well Act 2, right? But she just can't do well against the boss. She cannot do well against the final boss because her little jump with her ability will put her right into the AoE of the final boss, of the dragons. The AoE attacks, she will jump right next to your tank and she will die. There is a way to circumvent that as well. So there is another way to make her decent if you have good items, right? And maybe you just stack this in an honest way where you just stacked it every turn, or you just used her to farm money so she can just buy more. You can just buy more items for her team, and everyone is really strong, and she's very strong as well because she has like 3 epic items at A tier or whatever. You can circumvent her dying with critical defenses. Start of combat, if this hero is in the front row, they gain defense, and she has some omnivamp, and these defenses will be enough to keep her alive even against the final boss, even though she jumps into the range like a moron. Yeah, so Yuuna can be good. I don't think she deserves to be higher than Logan because his stars aligning happens a lot more often than her going crazy and winning you the run. So I think, but honestly, she could be more useful just generally though. Yeah, because his stars need to align and then he wins the run. If her stars align, which is rarer, you need to find an early A tier Yuuna, then she wins the run. However, even if her stars don't align, she farms you 50 shards. That's a good unit in my book. You know what? That's a good unit in my book. And I hate Snake Lady. Man, those titties are nice and shiny. Anyway, guys, that is it for this tier list. As you can see, a lot of things are in the A and B tier. That shows that the game is well balanced. That is nice. We love to see it. I predict more nerfs to Tank Kai and a hefty nerf to Funke next patch, and maybe some Fiona buffs, maybe some Skorn changes. Maybe some slight buffs to his damage output, so he can also be a good single target damage dealer, which he can already, but you know, he could still use some more there. But other than that, very nice game. I'm very happy with the meta right now. I'm enjoying it a lot. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the current Guildrun Red Rift meta. If you feel like it's too restrictive, or if you are of the same opinion as me, that you think that almost every character, or even every character, even Fiona, can completely become broken and carry your run, which is just shows how well the game designed the game is, right? I just love this game, guys. Make sure to subscribe, ring the notification bell if you enjoy these Guildrun videos, so you don't miss the next one. I upload one pretty much every single day on this channel. Also, make sure to leave an algorithmic comment and an algorithmic like down below to support this video in the YouTube algorithm if you want to help me out. And check the description to find links to my other YouTube channels as well, where I play other auto battlers and other video game genres in general as well. Have a good one, guys. Peace.